Chapter 1435. With so many people rushing over, the first person Bailey June saw and asked about was Jianghu. However, everyone was only stunned for a moment. They exchanged tacit glances and quickly accepted the situation. It was like this in the past anyway. There was nothing strange about it. There were so many people in Yuntian Tower, and there was no lack of outstanding people among the younger generation. However, none of them could compare to Jianghu. He had personally raised her by his side, so she was naturally different from others. Jiang Ziyuan's tears, which she had been holding back for a long time, fell down like they were free. She was so happy that she felt wronged. She was really pitiful. If not for the messy wounds and bloodstains on her face, she would have looked even more pitiful. However, when Bailey June saw this, not only did he not despise her, but he felt even more distressed. "What's wrong? Yuan? Why are you crying?" He took another step forward and gently patted Jiang Jiwan's head. "Look, isn't Grandpa coming out in one piece?" In the entire Yuntian Tower, Jiang Jiwan was the only one who could call him Grandpa. "Grandpa Chun." Jiang Jiwan hurriedly wiped her tears, but she cried even harder. "I've made a fool of myself in front of you. What nonsense are you talking about?" Bailey June's heart ached when he saw this. He could not help but frown. He did not notice it before, but when he got closer, he realized that Jiang Jiwan's condition was really terrible. Her breathing was disordered, her body was covered in bruises, and her face was haggard. There were also shocking bloodstains on her body and face. This was definitely not because of the Tianlei power just now. As soon as he came out, he noticed that Jiang Jiwan was nearby and had been carefully watching over her. Logically speaking, she would at most be a little frightened. How could she possibly be so seriously injured? "What happened to you?" Bailey June's expression became serious. "Did someone bully you?" Jiang Ziyuan pursed her lips, wanting to say something but hesitating. No. But from Bailey Chun's point of view, it was clear that he was being bullied. Bailey Chun consoled her with a few words. "Don't worry, with Grandpa here, I definitely won't let you suffer the slightest grievance." After he finished speaking, he looked at respected elders Ming and the others. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked, "What the hell is going on? Why was Jiang Jiwan at 10,000 Bell Mountain? How did the injuries on his body come about?" In his impression, the little girl was always lively and elegant, dignified and generous. When had she ever been in such a sorry state? 36 respected elder Ming sneered in his heart. The patriarch of the Yuntian Tower was also a weirdo. He had never married in his entire life and had no descendants. His personality was arrogant and stubborn. The Yuntian Tower had always been under the control of the Bailey clan. The Bailey clan master's clan was huge, and there were many branches under him. Who knew how many good seedlings there were? However, Bailey June's attitude towards them was always cold and strict. He only doted on Jiang Jiwan. When Jiang Jiwan came to the Yuntian Tower for the first time when she was a few years old, Bailey June took a liking to her and kept her. He personally taught her. He treated her as if she was his own granddaughter. Although Jiang Jiwan's background was slightly lower than the children of the Yuntian Tower, because of Bailey June's care, her treatment was comparable to that of the eldest daughter of the Yuntian Tower's first wife. And Jiang Jiwan herself had long been used to this feeling. She had always treated the Yuntian Tower as her home. She was not a member of the Bailey clan, but becoming a princess consort was excellent. Especially when she first saw Rong Xiu being brought back, she fell in love with that cold and arrogant young man. She had always thought that everything was rightfully hers. Therefore, when another woman appeared and took over the position of princess consort, snatching away everything that should have belonged to her, she became hysterical and full of resentment. "It's a long story," 36 respected elder Ming said calmly. "Clan master, let's head to the ethereal hall. Let's talk about it together." Put on. As soon as Jiang Jiwan walked into the hall, she immediately kneeled on the floor. Her eyes reddened once more. Yuan, what are you doing? Get up." Bailey June, who had just taken his seat, felt his heart ache when he saw this scene. All these years, Jiang Jiwan had never kneeled to anyone in the Yuntian Tower. How did it end up like this? However, Jiang Ji1 refused to get up. Instead, she cried, "Grandpa Chun, Yuan is in the wrong. Please punish her." Seeing this, Bailey Chun could only suppress his emotions and ask anxiously, "What's wrong?" Jiang Ji1 looked up. In the surroundings, 36 respected Elder Ming, respected Elder Yu Jing, and the others were all gathered here, sitting on two sides. It wasn't convenient for her to say many things in front of these people. She could only say what she could say. Jiang Juan's mind raced, and her expression became more and more sorrowful. "Grandpa Chun, Yuan did something wrong and angered my master. He doesn't want me anymore." Bailey Jun was stunned. 36 respected Elder Ming kindly explained, she was expelled from Lingxiao College. The college didn't announce the reason, but this matter has already caused a huge commotion. The entire Divine Ruins world knows about it. She had utterly embarrassed herself. Jiang Jiwan clenched her fists in her sleeves, and her nails dug into her palms. She wanted to defend herself, but she couldn't say anything. He had no choice but to swallow his resentment. Bailey Jun frowned deeply, and he didn't say anything for a long time. He didn't expect this to happen. No matter how much he doted on Jiang Jiwan, he had to admit that this matter was a huge stain on both her and the Yuntian Tower. After a long while, he took a deep breath and asked in a low voice, "Your injuries, they were left behind when I went to the northern region of the primeval world." Jiang Jiwan lowered her head as she spoke. "They're much better now. Grandpa Chun, you don't have to worry." Much better? Didn't that mean that her injuries were more serious before? Seeing her compromise, Bailey Chun's suspicions about her being expelled from the Spirit Firmament Academy disappeared like smoke in thin air. He had personally raised Yuan, and she had always been a good child. Moreover, didn't the elders of the college like her very much? There must be some misunderstanding. At the thought of this, Bailey Chun looked around. "Where's Rong Xiu? It's been so long. Why isn't he here yet?" Even if he was the Holy Son now, he shouldn't be so negligent. Jiang Jun wiped her tears and said timidly, "Brother Rong Xiu should still be in the college. It's normal that he can't come for a while. Don't be angry with him." She paused and lowered her eyes again. "I don't know why Sister Princess Consort hasn't come yet. She should have come since you came out of seclusion." "Princess Consort? What Princess Consort?" Bailey Jun was confused. Jiang Jiwan smiled bitterly. "Yes, you don't know. Brother Rong Xiu, he has already chosen a princess consort, and now he's living in the sacrificial god hall." Bang! Bailey Jun was furious. He slammed the table and rose to his feet. How dare he? Jiang Jiwan had already been chosen as the princess consort, but now Rong Xiu was replaced by someone else. What was he trying to do? Princess consort? How majestic! Guards! Call that woman over. Digression. I'll continue at 6:00. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Iowa. Chapter 1436. 36 Respected Elder Ming said casually, "Patriarch, the princess is currently cultivating in seclusion in the sacrificial god temple. I'm afraid it's not good to rashly invite her, right? What if it delays her cultivation?" This sentence made the servant who was about to rush out stop in his tracks. He stood in place and paced back and forth. On one side was the patriarch, and on the other side was the leader of the elders. Who should he listen to? Normally speaking, he should listen to the patriarch. However, the patriarch had been in seclusion for the past few years and had never come out. Many things were handled by His Highness the Holy Son and 36 Respected Elder Ming. Now that His Highness the Holy Son was not around, 36 Respected Elder Ming represented this force. Even the patriarch had to be courteous. When Bailey Jun saw this scene, he was so angry that he laughed. How many years had it been? It turned out that the Yuntian Tower had already changed. What? Don't you understand this patriarch's words? Bailey Jun said gloomily and sternly. The two words, patriarch, in the middle were heavily emphasized. The servant's face turned pale and his body trembled. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by 36 Respected Elder Ming. His Highness the Holy Son has already ordered that without permission, No one is allowed to approach the sacrificial god temple and disturb the princess. What? Have you all forgotten His Highness's orders? When 36 respected Elder Ming spoke, he did not look at Bailey June. His eyes were filled with deterrence. He only swept his gaze across the servants, which was enough to make them tremble with fear. At the same time, he also struck back at Bailey June from the side. The patriarch's identity was noble and unparalleled, but don't forget who was in charge of the Yuntian Tower now. Moreover, the sacrificial god temple had always been the Holy Sun's territory. Even if the patriarch wanted to interfere, he had to think twice. This subordinate does not dare. When the servants who were ready to make a move heard the words, Holy Sun, they were filled with reverence and fear. They all retreated and stood in their positions obediently. Bailey June was stunned for a moment. What was this situation? He was the patriarch and had commanded the Yuntian Tower for several years. Now, he could not even order a person to move? 36 respected Elder Ming touched the teacup and felt a little bored. Things have changed with the passage of time. Do you still think that I'm the number one person who means what I say in the past? If that was the case, then wouldn't they and His Highness have been working for nothing these past few years? The hall fell into a dead silence. Jianghu didn't expect this either. She originally thought that after the clan leader came out, he would be able to support her and help her repay the humiliation she had suffered. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Yuntian Tower, his master had already changed. Even Honorable Elder Yu Jing and the others had a hesitant look on their faces and did not say anything. It was unknown whether it was because he didn't want to offend 36 revered Elder Ming or because he didn't want His Highness, the Saint, to settle scores with him in the future. Only then did Ming 36 raise his head in satisfaction and smile warmly. Clan leader, actually, Princess Consort has always been dignified and sensible, and her etiquette is thorough. The reason why she didn't make it in time today must be because she was still concentrating on her cultivation. Otherwise, if she knew that you'd come out of your closed-door cultivation, she would definitely have come to welcome you. Why wouldn't she come? All the important people of Yuntian Tower are here, but she's the only one who didn't come. Who would be so stupid as to cause trouble for herself? There must be a reason. Bailey June sneered disdainfully. Closed-door cultivation? Cultivation? Could it be that she's a peerless genius and can't even waste this little bit of time? There was no lack of sarcasm in his words. 36 respected Elder Ming laughed out loud, and his expression was bright. Clan leader is wise. How do you know that our princess consort is a peerless genius? Back then, when the Wuxia divine dial tested her bloodline power, it reached the same level as His Highness, 11. The smile on Bailey June's face suddenly froze. 11. The Wuxia divine dial tested her bloodline power? That's right. Since she's the princess consort, she must pass this test. How could it be so high? For a moment, countless thoughts flashed through Bailey June's mind. The expression that was originally full of sarcasm and ridicule seemed to have frozen. Is this true? That woman, what is her background? The result of the test is really 11? One had to know that in a huge family system like the Yuntian Tower, there was only one 11 genius like Rong Xiu in 1,000 years. How could this woman who suddenly appeared so coincidentally be 11 as well? Jianghu's voice lowered as she clenched her fists. The sister princess consort tested it in front of everyone. The Wuxia divine dial did indeed appear as 11. Although she's an outsider, such talent is still something that we can't. Wait! Bailey June suddenly interrupted her, almost in disbelief. Outsider? You mean she's an outsider? How can this be? Bailey June was about to go crazy. Rong Xiu is really messing around. The Yuntian Tower was a first-rate family in the Divine Ruins world. To be able to sit on the position of princess consort, even if they didn't completely match, they should at least have a good background, right? In the end, she was actually an outsider. Isn't this a complete disgrace to me, Yun Tianke? No way. I will never agree to this. 36 respected Elder Ming dug his ears. He wasn't so angry and even wanted to laugh. Clan leader, Are you serious? This princess consort has talent that doesn't lose to His Highness. In the future, her future will be limitless. If this news spreads, who knows how many families and clans will be envious? Why is it embarrassing when it comes to you? Bailey Jun was speechless for a moment, and his expression changed. This was indeed something that couldn't be refuted. On the other hand, Jianghu, 36 respected elder Ming raised his chin and snorted. She was expelled from Lingxiao College, pursued by the Liang family. She caused a lot of trouble, and in the end, we have to clean up the mess. This is embarrassing, right? After so many years, this was the first time that someone from the Yuntian Tower was publicly expelled from Lingxiao College. Bailey Jun's heart choked. Do you know that because we allowed her to return to the Yuntian Tower and covered up for her, our Yuntian Tower's reputation plummeted? Clan leader, do you want to hear how the people outside are ridiculing us? Bailey Jun was so angry that his face turned green. Enough! Jiang Ji-won sobbed softly. It's all my fault. Bailey Jun sat back down in frustration. That so-called princess consort, why did she have to be such a top-notch genius? So much so that he didn't even have a reason to find trouble with her. In the world of God, at any time, one's own strength was the best defense. Also, Jiang Ji-won, if I remember correctly, the princess consort is only 17 years old this year. She's younger than you by a few years. This old man thinks that you don't have to continue calling her sister anymore, right? 36 respected elder Ming reminded in a leisurely manner. Jiang Jun felt as if she had been ruthlessly slapped a few times. She didn't even have the mood to cry anymore. She just wanted to disappear from this place immediately. She didn't understand. The clan leader had already come out of seclusion. Logically speaking, it was her turn to make a comeback, but why? Why was everything wrong? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1437. Jiang Ji-won still did not understand. Yuntian Tower had undergone earth-shaking changes in the past few years. Rong Xiu held great power and was highly respected. Even though the clan leader had come out of seclusion, he was no longer as powerful as before. Now, Rong Xiu was the top person here with the most authority. Shengguan Yu was the princess consort that he had personally chosen. Even if these people did not respect him, they had to respect him, right? Not to mention, Shengguan Yu's talent was amazing. Only someone with a screw loose would want to go against them. Bailey Jun looked at the scene in front of him and realized in hindsight. After he understood, he gritted his teeth. When he was in seclusion, he had thought about these problems. However, at that time, Rong Xiu was still young and inexperienced. He did not take him seriously at all. Who knew that in just a few years, everything would change? How could it be so easy to take back the country that he had lost? After a short silence, Bailey Jun took a deep breath and finally said, Yuan is the legitimate daughter of the Immortal Water Tomb. Can Yuntian Tower really sit by and do nothing when she is in trouble? Besides, she is already here. What's the point of talking about this? Everyone silently exchanged glances, all of them revealing meaningful expressions. He was still protecting her. They did not know what kind of destiny Jiang Ji-won had to be protected by the clan leader. However, if Jiang Ji-won continued to be tormented like this, even Yuntian Tower would not be able to protect her. 36 Ming could not be bothered to continue discussing Jiang Ji-won's matter with him. Since the clan leader insists, then let's forget about this matter for now. We will wait for His Highness the Holy Sun to come back and make a decision. According to Rong Xiu's character, he might not be able to tolerate Jiang Ji-won. Bailey Jun's lips moved, but he swallowed the rebuttal that was at the back of his throat. After a moment, he calmed down and stood up. Since the princess consort is so busy, I will go and see her personally. 36 respected elder Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness. He also stood up and calmly blocked Bailey Chun's path. With a faint smile, he said, Don't worry. Patriarch, I'm afraid, this isn't too appropriate, right? You are an elder, and she is a junior. No matter what, she should be the one to meet you. If word of this gets out, Won't people say that our Yuntian Tower's princess consort doesn't know etiquette? Without a doubt, there would be another wave of curses when the time came. Besides, even if he went to the sacrificial god temple now, he wouldn't be able to see it. Bailey June paused and looked at him suspiciously. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he always felt that 36 revered Elder Ming seemed to be stopping him, not wanting him to go to the sacrificial god hall, and even more not wanting him to see the new princess. Could it be that there was something fishy about this? Jianghu stopped crying. She got up and wiped her tears. Then she walked to Bailey June with red eyes. Grandpa Chun, you have just come out of seclusion today. You must have a lot of things to do. Let's put this matter on hold for now. She paused for a moment. Ever since she became the princess consort, she has been staying in the sacrificial god hall and hasn't come out much. She must be busy with her cultivation and breakthrough, right? No matter how diligent she is in her cultivation, she can't do it like this. She doesn't even have the time to come out and meet someone? Bailey June harumphed coldly. Yuan, this matter has nothing to do with you. You don't have to get involved. This old man wants to see how difficult it is to meet this princess consort. As he spoke, he flung his sleeves and strode forward like a shooting star. 36 revered Elder Ming couldn't stop him anymore. After pondering for a moment, he followed after him. There were quite a few people behind him. Out of various thoughts, they quietly followed after him. After walking out of the ethereal hall, Bailey June looked up. The sacrificial god hall stood at the peak of Upsetting Peak. A powerful barrier shrouded it. From here, one could only see the white mist drifting gently. As for the specific scenery, one couldn't see it clearly. Jianghu stood behind him. Looking at the palace above, she gritted her teeth. In the past, she had always been able to enter and exit the sacrificial god hall as she pleased. But now, she had fallen into such a situation. Without saying a word, Bailey June flew up. 36 revered Elder Ming's heart felt as if it was being gripped tightly by something. Bailey June was the clan head. Even though he didn't have any actual authority now, he was still the most respected person in the Yuntian Tower in name. He had the authority to enter the sacrificial god hall directly. If he were to discover that the person he was looking for wasn't in the fuselage hall, then wouldn't all the hard work he had put in during this period go to waste? However, if he were to step forward to stop him, it would be too obvious. There was no guarantee that he wouldn't attract attention. 36 revered Elder Ming held his breath as he stared intently above. Bailey June's speed was very fast. In just a few breaths' time, he arrived before the sacrificial god hall's independent barrier. Several heavily armored soldiers looked over and bowed respectfully. Greetings to the clan head. Bailey June nodded. He knew that these people were Rong Xiu's most trusted aides. Since he had no intention to argue with them, he went straight to the point. Is the princess here? This old man wants to see her. Isn't this giving enough face? As long as it was someone with a brain and a face, they would be so embarrassed that they would panic. At this moment, a figure hurriedly rushed over from behind. Since the clan head has arrived, I hope that the clan head will forgive us for not being able to welcome you. Umo bowed respectfully with a smile on his face. Bailey June frowned, feeling somewhat dissatisfied in his heart. However, he also knew that these people from the sacrificial god hall would never get involved in matters outside of this place, so it wasn't good for him to get angry. Where's the princess? She can't still be cultivating in seclusion, right? Umo smiled. The clan head is wise. The princess is indeed on the verge of breaking through. I'm afraid it's inconvenient to disturb her. Bailey June had already expected this answer and was about to walk in. Then this old man will wait here. Whenever she's free, she can come out and meet me. The smile on Yumo's face froze. This roar. A lion's roar that was filled with killing intent resounded through the heavens and earth. In the next moment, a vigorous white figure stepped on the air and came over. With a few flashes, it appeared in front of Bailey June. It was Shui. It stood in front of the barrier and looked directly at Bailey Chun. Its icy blue eyes were filled with a cold and indifferent aura of disdain. It roared towards the sky. Waves of pressure. Bailey June's expression changed. This beast, did it not intend to let him in? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1438. Shue Shue snorted. Wasn't it obvious? Was there a need to ask? Seeing Shue Shue's arrival, Umo heaved a sigh of relief. However, he still had to put on an act. Shue Shue, the clan head is going to enter the sacrificial god hall and wait for the princess consort. Don't cause trouble. Shue Shue licked its claws, revealing its white teeth. Its expression was indifferent, as though it had turned a deaf ear to all of this. Clearly, this time, it was determined to block the entrance. Bailey June felt that this was ridiculous. He was the clan head of the Yuntian Tower, and he could freely enter the sacrificial god hall. But now, he was actually blocked by a beast? This was the biggest joke in the world. Thinking quickly, Bailey Chun's eyes turned cold. Anyone could tell whose intention this was. It was obvious that Rong Xiu didn't want him to enter. Furthermore, it was done so openly. There were so many people watching below. Rong Xiu's actions didn't leave him any face at all. Move aside. Bailey June reprimanded with a dark expression. Shue Shue stretched its back and glanced at Bailey June casually. It didn't move. Its intention couldn't be any clearer. Umo rushed forward with a troubled expression. He looked at Shue Shue and then at Bailey June. Clan head, this? You know that Shue Shue has always been stubborn and won't listen to anyone. This little one apologizes to you first. Why don't you come another day? Today is the day that you came out of seclusion, and it should be a celebration. Don't be unhappy because of such a small matter. Umo said sincerely. Even if he didn't consider them, he should consider the group of people who were looking at them in the square below. Did he still want his face? If they fell out, it wouldn't be beneficial to anyone. Bailey June naturally didn't want to make a scene. What was the point of arguing with a beast? However, it was too difficult for him to vent his anger. Clan head, why do you have to be so calculative with Shue Shue? 36 respected Elder Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He slowly walked over and spoke with a smile. Her Highness is in the sacrificial god temple. Do you think she can run away? If you want to meet him, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. You've been in seclusion for a few years. Now that you've finally come out, it's indeed a joyous occasion. Umo was right. No matter what, they had to celebrate. How about we tell you about the situation of the Divine Ruins world and the Yuntian Tower over the past few years, and then let our subordinates prepare. He personally spoke in a sincere tone, which was equivalent to giving Bailey June a way out. Bailey June wavered when he heard the last sentence. In this short period of time, he had indeed discovered that the Yuntian Tower had undergone tremendous changes. He urgently wanted to understand the situation so that he could have a better understanding of the situation. His Highness, the Chosen Saint, has not been around recently, so there are many things that you have to decide on. 36 revered Elder Ming's smile was genuine. Bailey June's heart calmed down, and the expression on his face finally improved. Let's deal with these things first. He glanced at the sacrificial god temple. We'll talk about the rest another day. He didn't believe that this Shangguanyu could be so arrogant for so long. Seeing them return, Jianghu gritted her teeth. They were already at the door. They couldn't even enter. There must be something wrong with that Shangguanyu. At this moment, someone flew over from afar. Miss Jiang, there's a letter from the Immortal Water Tomb. Lingxiao College. Peng Min Mountain. Chu Liwei was sitting on the Millennium Frost jade bed, quietly and seriously flipping through the medical books in her hands. A strange fluctuation suddenly came from outside. Elder Meng. Elder Meng. Chu Liwei recognized this anxious voice. It was Elder Wensi. Why was he here? Chu Liwei was curious. She was about to get up and take a look, but suddenly remembered that she was locked up here. It didn't seem right to rashly go out now. Thus, she obediently sat back down. Rong Xiu happened to come down from upstairs at this time. Hearing the footsteps, she looked back. The two of them looked at each other. Chu Liwei carefully sized up Rong Xiu and didn't find anything unusual. She was slightly relieved and pointed outside. Elder Wensi is here. He seems to be looking for Elder Meng for something urgent. Rong Xiu walked to her side and smiled. Don't worry, Elder Meng will take care of it. Chu Luiyue nodded. Sure enough, Elder Meng's voice came from upstairs. Wensi, what's the hurry? Let me in first. I have to talk to you in person. Hearing that the voice was a little off, Elder Meng opened the barrier and let Elder Wensi in. Elder Wensi's footsteps were hurried, his expression anxious. Elder Meng. Bad news. He walked into the hall on the first floor and searched around, but suddenly his footsteps stopped. Where's Chu Yu? At this time, Elder Meng's figure flashed and appeared in front of Elder Wensi. He went to rest by himself and is not here at this time. What do you have to say, say it. Elder Wensi hammered his palm. Sigh. This kid is in big trouble. Hearing this, Chu Luiyue's brows moved slightly. Rong Xiu looked back and looked down. Why do you suddenly say that? Elder Meng was a little surprised. Recently, that kid has been fine with this old man and hasn't done anything. It's the northern land of chaos. Elder Wensi's brows were tightly knitted. I don't know who spread the news outside, saying that the matter of the northern land of chaos was done by Chu Yu and the Black Demon sect together. They also said that the real Heavenly Square Sacred Cauldron has long been with Chu Yu. Everything is just a conspiracy between him and the Black Demon sect. This news has spread like wildfire outside, and now all the major clans and families are asking for a thorough investigation of Chu Yu. Digression. Recently, several friends have fallen ill, or their family members have fallen ill, and I'm very emotional. People are very fragile, everyone must be healthy and happy. Mobile users, please browse and read, a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1439. Chu Luiyue's heart suddenly tightened. Rong Xiu turned around and shook his head at her, indicating for her to calm down. The voices continued to come from downstairs. What's going on? Elder Meng was also stunned by the news, but his first reaction was disbelief. Chu Yu is Rong Xiu's man. How could he have any connection with the Black Demon Cave? Moreover, the Heavenly Square Cauldron is one of the 10 great sacred artifacts, and it has been lost for thousands of years without a trace. Why is it suddenly said that Chu Yu has it? Such a treasure was with that stinky brat. Who would believe it? I don't believe it either. But this news has already spread outside. We can't just ignore it. Elder Wensi was also very anxious. This time, they didn't come in person and they all changed to letters, but the wording was strict and their attitude was clear. Now that Bo Yen is dealing with this matter, he asked me to come over and check on Chu Yu's situation. No matter what, they couldn't avoid it this time. The Black Demon Cave's status in the Divine Ruins world was not low, but their reputation was terrible. This was because their cultivation method was extremely evil and tyrannical. Furthermore, most of the people in their sect were also vicious and vicious. Their methods were cruel. The other families and sects in the Divine Ruins world rarely interacted with them. Many of them had deep enmity with them. It was a pity that the Black Demon Cave's strength was tyrannical, and they were not to be trifled with, so until now, the best choice was to stay away from them. Now that Chu Yu's name was connected to the Black Demon Cave, how could they not care? If it weren't for the fact that Elder Bo Yen and Rong Xiu had solemnly warned them and had more concerns, they would have directly charged over. Needless to say, the rumor also said that the Heavenly Square Cauldron was already with Chu Yu. If it was an ordinary treasure, it would be fine, but this was one of the 10 great sacred artifacts. In the Divine Ruins world, there were a few families that had the 10 great sacred artifacts, and they had more confidence than others. It was not an exaggeration to say that such a treasure was enough to directly promote a second-rate family to a first-rate one. And it was the kind that had a high status and a lot of power. Who wouldn't be tempted? Within the Divine Ruins world, aristocratic families and clans stood in great numbers. Wanting to occupy a place in this intense competition was simply as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But if he had the 10 great sacred artifacts, all of this would be easily solved. Therefore, this time, it wasn't just the first-rate aristocratic families who sent letters to question him. Even some second-rate aristocratic families began to secretly make moves. The situation was urgent, otherwise, Elder Wensi would not have rushed in like this. Elder Meng, this matter is of great importance. Chu Yu will not be able to avoid it no matter what. Bo Yan asked me to take a look. How is his body recovering? If you've recovered, we'll go over and discuss how to deal with this matter. Elder Wensi finally revealed the purpose of this trip. Elder Meng furrowed his brows and looked solemn. Since it involved the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Cauldron, it was indeed troublesome. But Chu Yu had just failed to break through to the middle stage of the 9th stage a few days ago. Now was the crucial time to recuperate his body. How could he go out like this? Wasn't this taking his body and future as a joke? Chu Yu, there are still some things that I need to take care of. Can Bo Yan wait a little longer? Elder Wensi asked. How long will it take? Half a month, no, 10 days. Elder Meng said with some uncertainty. In fact, in this situation, if it was an ordinary cultivator, they wouldn't be able to recover without 2 or 3 months. Fortunately, Chu Yu's physique was better, and Rong Xiu had rushed over in time and had been helping from behind, which allowed Chu Yu to recover so quickly. But no matter how fast it would still take a certain amount of time. Elder Wensi smiled bitterly and awkwardly. Do you think that's possible? Those people wanted nothing more than to rush over again and take Chu Yu away. Waiting for Elder Bo Yan's reply was the only concession they were willing to make. How could they be willing to wait for 10 days for nothing? Even if it was 5 days, they would still be very anxious. What can we do? How far do these people want to push Chu Yu? He's only 17 years old. Elder Meng was also furious. Although every time Chu Yu came in he would act very impatient, but in reality he liked this child in his heart. Peng Min Mountain's position was special. For a long time, he was the only one who had been silently guarding it. Loneliness, coldness, and boredom. Occasionally, there would be some students who made mistakes and were locked up, but most of them were scared witless, their faces pale, and did not dare to say a word. When the punishment time was up, those bastards would run away faster than anyone else. But Chu Yu was different. He was talented, smart, and the most important thing was that he was lively and witty, very interesting. He said that he did not want to see him, but in fact he still missed him a little. Now that he heard all these messy things, of course he could not help but speak up for Chu Yu. Chu Yu's failure to break through was already tragic enough, and now he was being splashed with dirty water for no reason. What was this? Elder Wensi laughed bitterly. They won't care about this. Last time, Bo Yan and Rong Xiu stepped in and barely protected him, but at that time, although everyone had their suspicions, no one had any evidence, so they compromised. Do you think that this time they will be sent away so easily? Even if one used their toes to think, they would not. With their own interests mixed in, who would be able to watch from the sidelines? Elder Meng's chest seemed to be on fire, as if it was going to rush out in the next moment. Elder Meng. A clear and calm voice came from upstairs. Both Elder Meng and Elder Wensi were shocked and looked up at the same time. Chu Yu. Elder Wensi opened his mouth. Why was he on the 2nd floor? And the one next to him? Isn't that Rong Xiu? He's actually here too? Elder Wensi, I'll go with you, Chu Luiwei said with a calm expression. Elder Meng immediately objected and frowned. Your body, you have to stay here and recuperate for a while. If he went over now, who knew what would happen? If they made trouble again, with Chu Yu's small body, could he withstand it? Chu Luiwei smiled, and a trace of gratitude to Elder Meng emerged in her heart. She knew that Elder Meng was thinking for her, but things had already gotten to this point. There was no point in hiding anymore. They had already stepped on top of her head, and she still had to endure? No matter what the consideration was, Chu Luiwei knew that she had to come forward. She walked down the stairs, and Rong Xiu was one step behind her and followed her down. Thank you for your kindness, Elder Meng, but this matter started because of me, so I should face it personally. Chu Luiwei curved her lips and smiled. Elder Meng, Elder Wensi, and Elder Zhang were a little stunned. The young man in front of them was clean and handsome, with a gentle smile, and no trace of nervousness could be seen. This kind of bearing, it really made people look at him in a new light. Elder Meng's heart wavered a little. Are you sure? Those people are not that easy to deal with. Chu Luiwei blinked. I have a clear conscience, so why should I be nervous and afraid of them? As she spoke, she looked at Elder Wensi. May I ask, Elder Wensi, do you know who spread this news? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1440. This was the question that Chu Luiwei wanted to know the most right now. Whether it was connecting her to the Black Demon Cave or revealing that the Heavenly Square Cauldron was with her, these things were all extremely secretive. All along, she had been very careful, afraid of revealing the slightest bit. Because she knew too well that if this news were to spread, it would bring her a lot of trouble. But she did not expect that no matter how careful she was, she would still be tricked. She thought that she had hidden it very well, but she did not know that she had been secretly targeted. Who was the other party? How much did they know? Chu Luiwei was not sure. She had too many secrets hidden in her body, and any one of them would cause a huge storm. And with her current strength, it would be very difficult to deal with these problems. Elder Wensi was stunned for a moment and shook his head. We don't know yet. It seems that in one night, those aristocratic families all knew. Bo Yen has already sent people to investigate, but it would be strange if they could find out. The other party obviously came prepared, so how could they make a mistake on such a small matter? Then someone sent the news to all these people at the same time? Chu Luiwei thought to herself. It's not impossible, no, it should be like this. Elder Wensi hesitated for a moment and agreed. The letters from these aristocratic families were sent almost at the same time. If they spread the news 1 to 2, 2 to 3, their reaction would not be so orderly and fast. But who was it? Chu Luiwei smiled. The Divine Ruins world is vast, and all the aristocratic families have their own territories. They are all very far from each other, and it is not an easy thing to tell them all this news together. There was a hint of mockery in her black jade-like eyes. In order to deal with her, the other party had put in a lot of effort. Chu Yu, Elder Meng's face was solemn as he listened, and the wrinkles on his face were all wrinkled together. Who did you offend? The other party wanted to spend so much effort to deal with him? Chu Luiwei touched her chin, then spread her hands and smiled. I have offended too many people, and now I can't think of who it is. Elder Meng and Elder when she looked at each other, speechless. According to Chu Yu's character, it was not impossible for him to do this, but how could this brat still laugh now? Did he know how serious this accusation was? No matter which one was proven to be true, even if he was framed, he would never be able to make a comeback. If any of those aristocratic families were to step on him, Chu Yu would be forever trapped in the 18th level of hell, unable to rise again. Even with the protection of Lingxiao College and Rongxiu, it was still useless. Chu Luiwei cupped his fists respectfully at Senior Meng. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time, Senior Meng. This student is very grateful. Senior Meng knew that she had made up her mind. He looked at her with a complicated expression. You be careful. The corners of Chu Luiwei's mouth curled up. He nodded and then looked at Elder Wensi. Elder, let's go. How could Elder Wensi not feel uncomfortable in his heart? However, there was no other way now. He could only take one step at a time. He responded, bid farewell to Senior Meng, and then left with Chu Luiwei. Rongxiu followed. Elder Wensi glanced at him and did not object. Instead, he felt more at ease. It seemed that Rongxiu did not intend to sit back and do nothing. With the support of the Yuntian Tower, their situation would definitely be much better. It would more or less make those people feel a little wary. The few of them left quickly. The doors slowly closed, isolating everything outside. There was silence all around. After a long time, Senior Meng sighed softly and turned to go upstairs. Chu Luiwei and Rongxiu followed Senior Meng to the Donghuang Bell Tower. This was not the first time Chu Luiwei had come. In the few months since she entered the academy, she had come more often than most of the students in the academy. Of course, nothing good happened every time. It was the same this time. In fact, It was even worse than before. The incident with Scarlet Heavensword was considered an internal matter of the academy. Considering that she was a student of the academy, the elders would not be too strict on her responsibility. Moreover, she had saved Rong Xiu back then. She had made up for her mistakes with her merits, and the matter was over. But this time, with so many aristocratic families pressuring her from the outside, how could it be so easy to solve? Entering the hall, it was solemn. Senior Bo Yen sat at the head of the table, and on the left and right below him sat the elders with important positions in the academy. Senior Wan Zheng was also among them. "They're here." Senior Meng Wenxi walked at the front and said as he walked in. Everyone looked over. Chu Liwei immediately felt those gazes pressing down on her as if they were solid. In an instant, it seemed as if the surrounding air had become sticky and cold. Chu Liu's face was still calm. She walked straight to the middle and bowed to everyone. "Student Chu Yu greets the elders." Rong Xiu stood beside her, less than half an arm's distance. Seeing that he had also followed over, Senior Bo Yen was a little surprised. He had just asked someone to invite Rong Xiu over, but why did he come over with Senior Meng Wenxi and Chu Yu? As if seeing his doubts, Senior Meng Wenxi coughed and explained, "When I went to Mount Pengmin, I happened to meet Rong Xiu there." Everyone then understood. There was nothing strange about this. Mount Pengmin, others could not go, but Rong Xiu could. Senior Bo Yen nodded and pointed to a specially reserved empty seat beside Rong Xiu. "It's good that you're here." "Rong Xiu, take a seat first." That seat was very close to Senior Bo Yen, and it could be seen how much he valued Rong Xiu. Obviously, he did not treat Rong Xiu as a student. Today, Rong Xiu's identity was the Yuntian Tower's holy son. Rong Xiu didn't reject the offer as he agreed and walked over with his long legs to take a seat. Senior Meng Wenxi looked at Chu Luiwei worriedly and also sat down in his seat. The door was already closed. In the spacious and noble hall, it was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. A layer of enchantment gently swayed on the wall, completely sealing off this place. All the sounds and movements here would not be transmitted out. "Chu Yu, did Wenxi explain the current situation to you clearly?" asked Elder Bo Yen in a low voice as he sat up straight and stared at Chu Luiwei with his deep and weathered eyes. Chu Luiwei nodded slightly. "I roughly know." "Then what do you have to say now?" Senior Bo Yen gripped the armrest of the chair tightly with one hand. "Are you related to the Black Demon Cave? Did you participate in the matter of the northern region of the primordial wilderness? Also, is the Heavenly Square Cauldron with you?" Straight to the point. A short and sharp question. In an instant, the originally quiet hall seemed to become even colder. Countless pairs of eyes fell on Chu Luiwei, waiting for her answer. Chu Luiwei smiled slightly. "I have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. I am also a victim of the matter of the northern region of the primordial wilderness. As for the Heavenly Square Cauldron, do you think that if I had one of the 10 great sacred artifacts with me, I would still be able to live safely until today?" Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1441. The young man's voice was clear and bright, his expression sincere. His pair of dark eyes were like black jade that had sunk into the river, covered with a layer of faint luster. When people looked at him, they could not help but be convinced by him. Everyone was stunned, then their minds were shaken. That's right. If Chu Yu really had a treasure on him, and everyone knew about it, how could he be so peaceful for such a long time? Anyone with a brain would take advantage of the fact that not many people knew about it to steal it, right? After all, Chu Yu was only a 9th-level martial artist. If the other party really wanted to steal the treasure, there were many opportunities. Chu Yu was not their opponent. But now, the news had spread everywhere. Everyone was restless and wanted to take a share of the loot. The person who spread the news behind the scenes was obviously targeting Chu Yu. How could Chu Yu be more attractive than the Heavenly Square Cauldron? Wasn't it obvious that they were targeting Chu Yu? Elder Bo Yen secretly heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Chu Yu's situation was not like the rumors, things would be much easier. Otherwise, he really did not know how to clean up this mess. Now that the rumors are everywhere, and many aristocratic families and clans believe it, the situation is very unfavorable for you. Elder Bo Yen released his hand, his index finger tapping on the armrest. You have to think of a way to prove your innocence. This did not make sense. It was obvious that someone was deliberately splashing dirty water, but wanted Chu Yu to prove his innocence. Everyone knew that these things were not easy to do. But there was no other way. These aristocratic families and clans had more or less lost some people in the northern wilderness. But they could not find the person behind the scenes, so they could not help but feel angry. Now that the rumors were everywhere, they naturally chose to unite and use Chu Luiyue as a punching bag. Therefore, all the conflicts were directed at Chu Luiyue. And Chu Luiyue could only accept it. I know. Chu Luiyue smiled. Previously, because of me, I caused a lot of trouble for the academy. I have not formally thanked and apologized to you and the elders. Who would have thought that something like this would happen again so soon? This student really feels apologetic. She said it very sincerely. Some of the elders who had planned to say it was sooner or later could only shut their mouths. In the end, Chu Yu seemed to be quite innocent. Didn't he just follow them to the northern wilderness? Because his luck was good and he obtained some opportunities, he was targeted. What was wrong with that? Not to mention, he had helped Elder Hua Feng and the others a lot. On the academy's side, most of the people didn't have any opinions about him. This child's luck. Elder Bo Yen waved his hand. That matter, there's no need to mention it. You are a student of our Spirit Heaven Academy. At any time, no one is allowed to slander or bully you. Not to mention anything else, even if it was for the sake of the Academy's reputation, they would not back down so easily. Chu Liyue's heart warmed, and her lips curled up as she sincerely said, "Thank you, Elder Bo Yen. But there's one thing." Elder Bo Yen's brows were still furrowed. As a condition of compromise, they requested that you give everyone a clear explanation after you come out of Mount Prungmin about the northern wilderness. Now, I'm afraid the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Sacred Cauldron have to be added. Elder Bo Yen had a headache. The matter was getting out of hand. The trouble at the front had not been resolved, and so many things had happened at the back. Chu Luiyue nodded slightly. Student understands. Since the matter was caused by her, she naturally had to come forward to solve it. Then I'll have to trouble Elder Bo Yen to do me a favor. Speak. Since they want an explanation, I'll give them one. Chu Liyue's lips curved slightly, but her eyes were clear. I'll have to trouble you to send out an invitation and invite them over. This student will confront them face to face and explain everything clearly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Chu Yu? Elder Wan Zheng was the first to lose control. You can't be rash. What was this? They had finally gotten rid of those people with great difficulty, and in the blink of an eye, this kid actually took the initiative to invite them over again? Did he think that it was not chaotic enough? If things were to get out of hand, Chu Yu's situation would be extremely dangerous. Chu Liyue shrugged and looked at him helplessly with a smile. Master, this is the best choice now, isn't it? Lingxiao College could help her once, but it could not help her every time. As long as this matter was not resolved, it would be a hidden danger. Besides, she also wanted to see who was secretly targeting her. She had to find out where the news of the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Cauldron came from. Seeing Chu Liyue's firm and fearless attitude, Elder Wan Zheng was speechless for a moment. How could he not know the stakes in this? However, after so many years, he only had this one precious disciple, and naturally, he could not bear to part with her. After a long while, Elder Wan Zheng shook his head. Forget it, since you've already thought it through, then just do it. He would protect her until the end. No matter what, no one could harm a single hair on his disciple. Chu Liyue smiled gratefully and looked at Elder Bo Yen. Elder Bo Yen suddenly looked at Rong Xiu. Rong Xiu, you see, it was all thanks to Rong Xiu that they were able to stop those people the last time. Now that he had made a decision, he wanted to ask for Rong Xiu's opinion again. Rong Xiu leaned against the back of the chair, his posture lazy and noble. He smiled slightly. Whatever she wants to do, let her be. At most, I will take care of it. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1442. Arrogant. Arrogant. But it was so domineering that it made others speechless. Elder Bo Yen had already understood how important Chu Yu was to Rong Xiu during the confrontation with the crowd, so he wasn't surprised when he heard this. However, many of the others present were still shocked to the point of dizziness. He's holding? The other party wasn't just one or two families, but an entire group. Rong Xiu was actually willing to take such a huge risk for Chu Yu. The relationship between the two of them was indeed extraordinary. Because the two of them had never officially explained it, everyone could only make wild guesses. They didn't believe it at first, but now it seemed that they were brothers. While everyone was secretly amazed, they also finally understood the various situations that had occurred before. No wonder. Ever since Chu Yu came, Rong Xiu had been taking care of him. Now, he didn't even bother to hide it. However, this was ultimately a matter between Rong Xiu and Chu Yu, so others couldn't say anything. Moreover, with Rong Xiu's help, the pressure on the academy would be reduced by a lot. Elder Bo Yen glanced around. Since that's the case, then it's settled. Hua Feng, immediately send out the invitations and ask them to meet in 3 days. Speaking of this, Elder Bo Yen paused and hesitated. It wasn't a problem to invite them, and 3 days was definitely enough. After all, that group of people couldn't wait to appear here directly. But the key was, where should they meet? If they were to fight outside, then Ling Shao Academy would be outnumbered and would inevitably suffer. But if it was at the academy, if this matter spread, it would greatly affect Chu Yu's reputation. How would the people in the academy view him? At that time, if there were any accidents, Chu Yu would be criticized and ostracized. Chu Luiyue looked up and swept her gaze across Elder Bo Yan's conflicted face. Of course, she knew what Elder Bo Yen was worried about. Elder, let's set it in Fangzhou City. Chu Luiyue said with a chuckle. That place was close to the academy, and it wouldn't be considered as breaking into the academy. It could attack and defend, and was the most suitable place for the academy. Are you sure? Elder Bo Yen was still hesitant. Chu Luiyue nodded. Thank you and the elders for your hard work. This time I will surely solve all these problems. The elders dispersed and began to prepare for the meeting 3 days later. The matter this time might be a tough battle, so no matter what, they had to do everything well and not make the slightest mistake. In the end, only a few people were left in the room. Chu Luiyue bowed to Elder Bo Yen again. Elder, this student is truly grateful for your help. He was willing to risk the entire academy for her sake. She knew it would not be an easy task. Elder Bo Yen smiled. Don't worry, you're innocent. When the time comes, we'll explain everything. It's not good to drag these troubles on. I'll take this opportunity to solve them all at once. He had had enough of those people's harassment. This time, he had to give them a few tight slaps. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant in the future. Chu Luiyue's eyes flickered. You're right. Actually, you have to thank Rong Xiu for this matter. If it wasn't for him, the other elders wouldn't have been so easy to deal with. Of course, when the time comes, your situation will be much better than expected. As long as there's no evidence, those people won't dare to do anything to you. Elder Bo Yen smiled. Also, not all of those aristocratic families are looking for trouble with you. Some of them are on our side, such as the Meteor sect. Chu Luiyue came to a realization and the corners of her lips curled up. Shiru must have mediated in this matter. She had saved Shiru's life, but she had never thought of asking her to repay the favor. She did not expect Shiru to be so concerned about this matter. Under such circumstances, it must have taken her a lot of effort to persuade the Meteor sect to stand on her side. This was not an easy task at all. So you don't have to be too worried. When the time comes, just say what you want to say. Elder Bo Yen felt a little more confident now. Let's see who dares to wrongly accuse you. Chu Luiyue nodded with a smile. That's right. Could it be that those people would dissect her on the spot and examine her bit by bit? She wanted to see how lively this scene would be. Ling Shao College's invitation was sent out very quickly. The aristocratic families, who were ready to make a move, were stunned when they received the news. Then they became excited. Lingxiao College would actually do such a thing. To be so daring, how confident were they? However, these were not important. What was important was that this time, everyone's focus was on Chuyu. He would face everyone head-on. Black Demon Cave, Northern Wilderness, Heavenly Square Cauldron. All the mysteries would be solved one by one. For a time, the entire Divine Ruins world was in a state of turmoil. Lingxiao College invited all of them to gather in Fangzhou City? Ethereal Hall. Bailey Jun looked at the news in his hand and could not believe his eyes. What is Lingxiao College trying to do? For many years, the aristocratic families did not have close ties with each other, and they had always maintained a delicate balance. Yet, Lingxiao College actually wanted to break this balance. Even if they had a strong foundation, this was too daring. Elder Yu Jingzuan stood respectfully below. Patriarch, you don't know, but recently, rumors about Chuyu have been spreading all over the Divine Ruins. The Spirit Heaven Academy was forced to do this because they had no other choice, right? Bailey Jun frowned. Chuyu? Who's that? Jiang Jiwan, who was pouring tea by the side, glanced at Yu Jingzuan with jealousy. The academy removed her from the list, but in the blink of an eye, they went to such an extent for Chuyu. Even if they treated him differently, they shouldn't go overboard. She suppressed the jealousy and resentment in her heart and said softly, Chuyu is a new student who joined the academy a few months ago. He's quite talented, and his relationship with Rong Xiu seems to be quite good. These words immediately attracted Bailey Jun's attention. What do you mean by, not bad? Wasn't Rong Xiu a loner in the academy? Jiang Jiwan bit her lips. Rong Xiu is personally guiding him in his cultivation, and they both live in Jianghu Mountain. He's really taking good care of him. Last time, when Chuyu made a mistake, it was Rong Xiu who interceded for him. Bailey Jun slammed his cup down heavily. A dull thud sounded. Digression, I have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving very late. Perhaps it's after dark. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from LoveNet. Chapter 1443. Jiang Jiwan shuddered and her lips turned pale. She quickly put down the teapot. Grandpa Chun, I shouldn't have said so much. Yuan, this has nothing to do with you. Bailey Jun looked at her and felt sorry for her. He immediately softened his tone. However, in his eyes, there was still anger that had not been extinguished. I just think that Rong Xiu has gone too far. Back then, when you followed him to the academy, he didn't take care of you at all. Later, he just left you alone in Lingxiao College. Didn't he think about how much trouble a young girl like you would encounter in such a strange place? I thought that he was cold and indifferent, so I didn't care. But now, what is this? He's helping someone else train a disciple. He personally trained her and even lived together in Jianghu Mountain. Even Jiang Jiwan didn't receive such treatment. What right did Chuyu, who came out of nowhere, have? Even if he doesn't like you, he shouldn't treat you so differently. This makes you. How could Jiang Jiwan put her face in front of others? Jiang Jiwan lowered her head and said in a low voice. Brother Rong Xiu has his own considerations. Please don't blame him. Bailey Jun looked at her and felt even worse. Jiang Jiwan grew up by his side. When had she ever suffered so much? Now that she had been expelled from Lingxiao College, Chuyu could persuade the entire academy to support him. How could she feel good? Yuan, don't worry. Grandpa will definitely stand up for you this time. Bailey Jun said and stood up. Jiang Jiwan was shocked and looked up at him in surprise. 2 drops of tears were still hanging in the corners of her eyes. Grandpa Chun, what are you doing? Bailey Jun snorted coldly. Going to Lingxiao College. Jiang Jiwan's heart skipped a beat. Even Elder Yu Jingzuan, who was standing below, was somewhat dazed. He almost thought that he had misheard. Patriarchu, are you serious? Bailey Chun walked out of the room and glared at him coldly. Do I look like I'm joking with you? Elder Yu Jingzuan broke out in a cold sweat. How could that be? This is not appropriate. But clan leader, Lingxiao College didn't send an invitation to our Yuntian Tower. It's not easy to go. Bailey June didn't care at all and sneered. What's wrong? I've been in seclusion for a few years. Now, I'm not even qualified to go to Lingxiao College? That's not what I meant. Elder Yu Jingzuan's blood froze. He hurriedly explained in a panic. It's just that this matter involves a lot of things. Many first-class families will definitely go to Fangzhou City. When they gather, no one can say for sure what will happen. You've just come out of seclusion, and there are many things in Yuntian Tower that you need to deal with personally. Even if he used his toes to think, he would know that that place was about to become a battlefield. Why would he go there at this time? However, Bailey June didn't take his objection to heart. He waved his hand. For the past few years, I've been in seclusion and didn't get involved in the affairs of Yuntian Tower. I don't see anything happening. Now that I've been away for a few days, what can I do? You don't have to follow me, I'll go there alone. Although Bailey June hadn't been in seclusion for long, he had accumulated too much dissatisfaction and resentment towards Rong Xiu in his heart. Power, status, dignity. Everything that once belonged to him had now been taken away by Rong Xiu. Not only did he want to avenge Jianghu, but he also wanted to make a show of force. He had to make Rong Xiu understand that he, Bailey June, was not dead yet. Seeing that he seemed to have made up his mind, Elder Yu was speechless for a moment and didn't know what to do. Grandpa-chun, I'll go with you. Jianghu finally reacted and hurriedly followed him. Bailey June looked at her disapprovingly. That place is very messy, what are you going to do there? You haven't fully recovered from your injuries yet, so during this time, just stay in Yuntian Tower. On one hand, he was worried about Jiang Jiwon's health and didn't want her to go back and forth. On the other hand, Jiang Jiwon had been expelled from Lingxiao College. Although he could ignore this matter, it didn't mean that others could. It was easy to imagine what would happen if Jiang Ziyuan were to appear there again. It was inevitable that she would be mocked and ridiculed. Jiang Jiwon keenly caught the look on Bailey June's face. She had been by his side for many years and could read his mind the best. Therefore, at this moment, she directly guessed Bailey June's many concerns. This immediately made her feel uncomfortable all over. Expelled, she was no longer a student of Lingxiao College. Furthermore, he had been chased out in such a disgraceful manner. It wasn't easy for her to escape from the Liang family's pursuit and those people's mocking eyes. It was indeed not a wise choice to go back now. However, she really didn't want to miss out on this good show. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Jiwon's eyes lit up. Grandpa-chun, how about I change my identity and go with you? Bailey June was stunned. Respected Elder Yu Jing frowned. I'm afraid that's not appropriate. If they were found out, it was fine if Jiang Jiwon was embarrassed, but if the entire Yuntian Tower was implicated, how would it end? Although Elder Yu had deep ties with the tomb of Immortal Water, he wasn't completely brainless. No matter what, the Yuntian Tower was their foundation. If the Yuntian Tower's reputation was ruined, or even worse, as an elder, he would bear the brunt of it. However, at this moment, Bailey June spoke. It's not impossible, but you have to promise that you won't reveal your identity when the time comes. Jiang Jiwon immediately agreed happily. Yes. Clan leader, Elder Yu wanted to persuade him again, but Bailey June glared at him. Then the two of you must be careful. Bailey June brushed his sleeves. His expression was calm, but there was a hint of arrogance in it. Of course. With his current strength, wouldn't it be easy for him to protect Jiang Jiwon? Jiang Jiwon stepped forward and hugged his arm coquettishly. I knew that Grandpa Chun loves me the most. Bailey June smiled and tapped her forehead. Hurry up and get changed. I'll be done soon. Lingxiao College. The elders were busy. The news that heroes from all over the world were about to gather in Fang State City to confront Chu Yu quietly spread among the students. Due to the importance of this matter, the elders thought about it again and decided to announce it. After all, even if they didn't announce it now, the students would still know when they arrived outside Fang State City in a few days. The atmosphere of the entire college became tense and cold. It was rare to see people loitering outside. As the time approached, everyone seemed to be nervous. However, at the center of the storm at this moment was calmly cultivating in the tower of Pengmin Mountain. Digression, I'm finally home. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1444. After discussing the meeting with Elder Bo Yen and the others, Chu Luiyue returned to Mount Pengmin and entered the tower again. This time, Chu Luiyue's reason was simple: to nourish her body. The Millennium Frost Jade bed on the second floor was extremely effective for nourishing the body. Seeing her return, Elder Meng naturally thought that she was here for this. He agreed without hesitation. Elder Bo Yen and the others were hesitant at first, but seeing that Elder Meng's attitude towards her seemed to be good, they were relieved. They could more or less see that Chu Luiyue did not go to Mount Pengmin to suffer. With Elder Meng taking care of her, nothing else was worth mentioning. Rong Xiu did not follow her back. Instead, he returned to Mount Jiuheng and was busy with something. It was quiet and empty all around. Chu Luiyue sat cross-legged on the Millennium Frost Jade bed. Her eyes were closed as she cultivated quietly. She could even hear her own heartbeat clearly. The surrounding force of heaven and earth constantly flowed into her body, circling in the water droplets and spreading to her limbs and bones. This force nourished her muscles, bones, flesh, and blood little by little. The damage caused by the failure of the breakthrough was also gradually recovering. Her body was tough to begin with, and her recovery ability was astonishing. If it were anyone else, it would take at least 2 to 3 months to fully recover from the injuries caused by this situation. But for her, she was almost fully recovered in just a few days. Of course, Rong Xiu's help was indispensable. As Chu Luiyue cultivated, she silently sorted out the recent events in her heart. She had no dealings with the Black Demon Cave. The only thing she had a connection with was that strange soul. It was the one that had been deposited in Shangguan Wan's body back then. That person was indeed from the Black Demon Cave, but the last time they confronted each other outside Fang Province City, he had admitted that he had left the Black Demon Cave. Now, he had nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. Where did this brilliance come from? What Chu Luiyue cared most about was the Heavenly Square Cauldron. Back then, she had obtained the Heavenly Square Cauldron in the Empire of Yaochen. Very few people knew about this. She knew that this thing was not simple, so she had always been very careful and did not dare to take it out easily. Even the last time in the northern wilderness, she did not use the real Heavenly Square Cauldron. Who was the one who spread the news? Chu Luiyue could not figure it out. Since she could not figure it out, after struggling for a while, Chu Luiyue decided to give up. In any case, in a few days, in Fangzhou City, everything would be revealed. The most important thing now was to increase his strength as soon as possible. Beginner stage, against those people, it would be an easy death. In the world of God. With every increase in strength, one's mengyue otherwise, it was it. However, there were less than 3 days left. If he wanted to break through now, it was too difficult. Chu Luiyue held her breath and focused her mind. In the next moment, she began to gather the force in her body again, and all of it surged toward her dantian. Sigh. I'm afraid this girl has really forgotten about me. On the top floor, Elder Meng leaned lazily on the back of the chair. He held his head with one hand and flicked his horsetail whisk with the other. In front of him, there was still the same door that was silently suspended in the air. Ever since he sensed that the thing inside was restless and wanted to rush out, Elder Meng began to suspect that the girl was coming back. But after waiting for a long time, there was no news at all. His heart began to beat like a drum. Could it be that he was wrong? And for some reason, this thing had not moved for the past 2 days. Elder Meng sighed faintly. Back then, he did not intend to help. But he could not resist the girl's coaxing and pestering, so he took this hot potato. For this thing, he had spent a lot of effort in the past few years. Elder Meng was immersed in the memories of the past. Suddenly, his expression froze, and he quickly stood up. He walked to the stairs and looked down. The stairs were intertwined. Standing here, one could not see the situation below clearly. But the entire tower was under Elder Meng's control, so he could accurately know what was happening below. That kid is trying to break through again. Elder Meng muttered in disbelief. Crazy. This is crazy. How many days has it been since the breakthrough failed? That kid's body hasn't fully recovered yet, right? And now he's doing it again. Elder Meng's figure flashed, and he went straight to the second floor. The lower he went, the more he could feel the changes in the heaven and earth force around him. The power in the space seemed to be guided by something, and all of it converged toward a certain spot on the second floor. Elder Meng did not need to look carefully to know that it was where Chuyu was now. And the heaven and earth force was clearly going toward that kid. Elder Meng stopped at the corner of the stairs on the third floor. From here, he could see Chuyu cultivating on the second floor. The young man sat quietly, his shoulders drooping naturally. His hands were on his knees, palms facing the sky. He closed his eyes, and the faint glow shone on his porcelain-like face, making him look like he was in a dream or a fantasy. Elder Meng's hand gripped the railing tightly. His brows were deeply furrowed, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. Now, Chuyu was clearly in the middle of a breakthrough. It would not be good to interrupt him now. He could only wait. Feeling the surging force around him, Elder Meng gritted his teeth. This kid, he's too bold. In all these years, he had never seen anyone succeed in making 2 breakthroughs in such a short period of time. He's courting death. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1445. This divine power was snatched from Taizu of the northern underworld. Chu Luiyue had always thought that she would not be able to completely integrate it before she reached the God realm. But now, such a shocking scene had actually happened. And it looked so easy and simple. Chu Luiyue subconsciously held her breath. She could feel that the divine power had already integrated into her Yuan meridian and blood. And it was this blessing that caused Chu Luiyue's aura to soar. She was only 1 step away from the middle stage of the 9th rank. She closed her eyes, but the waves in her heart could not be calmed down for a long time. What was this place? And where did this terrifying pressure come from? Most importantly, why was everything here helping her so naturally? Countless thoughts flashed through Chu Luiyue's mind. Because of the arrival of the first-rate families and clans outside, the atmosphere in the entire academy was very tense. Many students had spontaneously gathered at Qingming Square. There were also some who chose to stay in their own places, silently waiting for things to develop. On a steep mountain peak, Luo Yanming and Luo Yanlin were facing each other. A huge, translucent chessboard hung between the two of them. Streaks of silver light outlined the chessboard. It was scattered all over the place. It looked like half of the chessboard was already down. Luo Yanming crossed his arms and frowned. He stared at the chessboard in front of him, seemingly in a difficult position. He had been in this position for 15 minutes. Luo Yanlin, on the other hand, looked much more relaxed. He was relaxed and patiently waiting. Time passed slowly, and beads of sweat gradually appeared on Luo Yanming's forehead. He raised his arm and tried to make a move, but at the critical moment, he hesitated and retreated. He wavered. Finally, after about 7 or 8 minutes, he smiled bitterly in dejection. "Fourth brother, I lost." Luo Yanlin waved his wrist, and the chessboard quickly shrank until it condensed into a thin, translucent piece of paper the size of a palm. That thing flew to Luo Yanming. He was stunned for a moment before receiving it with both hands. "Go back and study it." Luo Yanlin walked over and patted him on the shoulder. "Your comprehension is not bad. You should be able to solve it in half a month." Luo Yanming's lips moved, and he smiled helplessly. "I'm useless. I've disappointed you." Compared to ordinary people or even most Xian master cultivators, he could be considered as one of the best. But compared to the truly top figures, he was very clear that he was lacking. This talent was something that could not be caught. No matter what. Luo Yanlin laughed. "My level is higher than yours to begin with. If you win, where will your fourth brother's face go? Besides, talent alone is not enough to become a powerhouse. Yan Ming, you must remember this. Heaven rewards the diligent. Luo Yanming took a deep breath and nodded her head. Fourth brother. As he spoke, he carefully put away the item in his hand. Fourth brother, are you too to finish playing to play? Aziz to zest to him. She was originally here to accompany him to watch the battle today, but when she heard that there was a commotion outside the academy, she left. Luo Yu, how's the situation outside? Luo Shishir saw that Luo Yanming's face was a little pale and knew that they must have lost the game. Fortunately, Luo Yanming had experienced this too many times since she was young and was already used to it. Hence, she recovered after a while. Luo Shishir retracted her gaze and frowned slightly. The situation is not very good. Then, she briefly recounted what had happened outside. Actually, her knowledge was limited. After all, she was not at the scene. She could only find out a little. Anyway, both sides are in a stalemate now. I'm afraid it's hard to say what will happen next. Luo Shishir was worried and confused. Why did these people have to find trouble with Chu Yu all of a sudden? It was his own luck that he was able to obtain this opportunity. What did it have to do with others? In any case, these people were influential figures in the first-rate clans. Wouldn't they feel ashamed if they were to force a young man like this? Luo Yanlin could not help but laugh after hearing this. Don't worry. This farce will definitely be loud but small in the end. We'll turn big things into small things and small things into nothing. Nothing will happen to him. Luo Shishir was stunned and quickly asked, Fourth brother, how did you know? I saw that those people's formation was really big. Luo Yanlin saw her reaction and immediately became unhappy. Although he already knew that his sister liked that brat, seeing her so worried as an elder brother, he more or less had some thoughts in his heart. He snorted lightly and walked to the stone bench at the side to sit down. He poured himself a cup of tea and said, That kid's life is very tough. Who can do anything to him? In these few months in the academy, Chu Yu had encountered quite a lot of trouble, right? There were a few times when his life was on the line and he was surrounded by danger. In the end, wasn't he still alive and well? And he was constantly getting stronger at a terrifying speed. If it was anyone else, they would have died long ago. But this kid was always able to survive. He could see now that he could not use normal eyes to look at Chu Yu. Besides, now that Elder Bo Yen and Rong Xiu are speaking up for him, it's obvious that they want to support him. With Lingxiao College and Yuntian Tower as his backing, those people won't dare to act recklessly. Whether it was Lingxiao College or Yuntian Tower, they were not to be trifled with. Not to mention that they had joined forces and stood on the same side now. As long as those people were not crazy, they would not completely offend these two forces for Chu Yu. When Luo Shishir heard this, she also felt that it made sense. Fourth brother is right. Those people only came because they missed the primordial north and were jealous of Chu Yu's situation. If you ask me, the person who instigated this matter behind the scenes has ill intentions, and those who followed the crowd are even more stupid. Offending Lingxiao College and Yuntian Tower because of such a trivial matter without any evidence was really not worth it. They thought that by joining forces, they could share the blame equally, but they did not know that revenge was a dish best served cold. After knowing Rong Xiu for so long, he had never seen Rong Xiu stand up for someone like this. He would definitely remember today's grudge. By the way, Rong Xiu said that he was related to Chu Yu? He had always been curious about this point. Now that Rong Xiu had admitted it, he naturally had to study it carefully. Luo Shishir's expression was a little strange. He said, immediate family, but he didn't say anything else. Luo Yanlin touched his chin and pondered for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was a little erratic. I've never heard that Rong Xiu's mother gave birth to a younger brother for him. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1446. It's time. Elder Bo Yen stood on top of the Eastern Emperor Bell Tower and put away the booklet in his hand. He took a deep breath and turned to walk down. At this moment, a person walked over. Bo Yan. The person who came was in a hurry and frowned. It was Elder Huafeng. Elder Bo Yan hadn't seen him for the past 2 days, so he was a little surprised to see him now. Huafeng? Why you here? Elder Huafeng walked forward and stared at Elder Bo Yan. His heart was beating much faster than usual. I have something to tell you. Elder Bo Yan was stunned. But the Eastern Emperor bell had already rung, which meant that the people outside had gathered in Fang State City. The agreed time had arrived. As the current ruler of Lingxiao College, he should go out. What did he have to say now? It's just a few words. It won't take much time, but it's very important. Elder Huafeng was very persistent. Elder Bo Yan rarely saw such an expression on his face, so he nodded. Speak. Elder Huafeng frowned even more as he looked around. Elder Bo Yan smiled. Only the few of us can come up to this place. No one else is here. If you have anything to say, you can say it boldly. As he spoke, he had some doubts in his heart. Why was Huafeng so cautious? But soon he knew the answer. Elder Huafeng took a step forward and said word by word, Bo Yan, do you still remember that I told you before that we were trapped by a huge and complicated Xian formation in the northern region of the primordial wasteland and finally escaped? Elder Bo Yan nodded. At that time, you seem to have said that it was all thanks to Chuyu? Yes. Elder Huafeng's throat was dry. At that time, he had given me a broken Xian formation. After I repaired that Xian formation, I opened the Xian formation that trapped us. After returning, I have been studying that Xian formation. In the end, that Xian formation was related to the first Dean. Elder Bo Yan's originally calm eyes were suddenly set off by stormy waves. What? At first, I only suspected it. I didn't dare to be sure. Plus, you've been very busy recently, so I didn't tell you. I went to take out the profound diagram left behind by that person back then and carefully observed and compared it. Elder Huafeng paused for a moment before spitting out the following words with difficulty. It's exactly the same. Elder Bo Yan felt his mind go blank. Which scroll are you reading? Elder Huafeng was silent for a while. Heaven Scroll. Although the first principal did not accept any disciples, he had left behind many precious items. Among them, the Xian formation diagrams were divided into 3 scrolls: Heaven, Earth, and Human. Students in the academy could usually read the Human Scroll for free. Some of the more talented ones could even read the Earth Scroll if they performed well. The Heaven Scroll was of the highest level and was also the most confidential. Even among the elders of the academy, there were only a few people who had the qualifications to observe. The Heaven Scroll has always been sealed within the academy. It is impossible for outsiders to see it. Then how did Chuyu know? Elder Bo Yan muttered in shock. Elder Huafeng smiled bitterly. He said that he saw it by chance in a deserted cave. At first, he did not pay much attention to this statement. However, when he confirmed that the Xian formation was recorded in the Heaven Scroll, the suspicion in his heart instantly exploded. Because the Xian formations in the Heaven Scroll definitely could not be outside. It was even more impossible for it to be carved in some random cave. Where did Chuyu find out about this Xian formation? The reason was a mystery. His explanation at that time was obviously a lie. If it wasn't because this matter was too shocking, he wouldn't have chosen to look for Elder Bo Yan at this time. Elder Bo Yan rubbed his forehead. Could it be that Rong Xiu taught him? Rong Xiu had gone to see the Heaven Scroll before. There are hundreds of Xian formations recorded in the Heaven Scroll. When Rong Xiu went in, he only saw 2 or 3 at most, right? How could it be so coincidental that he bumped into this one? Elder Huafeng let out a long sigh. How could he not think of such a possibility? However, this kind of speculation was simply too illusory. Chuyu obviously knew that the Xian formation was extraordinary. Otherwise, why would he try to get other explanations? If Elder Huafeng hadn't happened to see it, this matter would never have been discovered. The two of them looked at each other and fell into deep thought. Chuyu obviously had a big secret on him. Dang dang dang. A series of hurried footsteps could be heard. An elder came over to urge him. Bo Yen, it's time. We should go out. They waited below for a long time but didn't see Elder Bo Yen coming down, so they could only come up and ask. He turned his gaze and saw Elder Hua Feng. Hua Feng, you're here too? Elder Bo Yen nodded, and his expression had returned to normal. I'm coming. As he spoke, he lifted his foot and walked down. When he brushed past Elder Hua Feng, the two of them looked at each other without batting an eyelid. Hua Feng, you should follow as well. Elder Hua Feng suppressed the emotions in his heart. Even if there was really something, it was too late to investigate now. Let's take it one step at a time. If it really didn't work out, he would wait until the matter outside was resolved and come back to ask Chu Yu properly. And Rongxiu. Fangzhou City. In the center of the city, there was a huge circular square. This square was paved with black and white jade stones, and there was a huge teleportation array in the middle. On the teleportation array, there was a totem of Lingxiao College engraved on it. Without a doubt, this was the totem of Lingxiao College. And this teleportation array was also used by Lingxiao College's students and elders. It was just that in normal times, the people of the Spirit Firmament Academy rarely used this teleportation array. After a long time, it gradually became deserted. As a result, very few people came to this square. But today, the huge square was bustling with noise and excitement. Lingxiao College had already divided the square into different areas according to the invitations that were sent out. The major clans and families each occupied a place, and in the end, they formed a circle. Of course, because they were worried about causing misunderstandings, not many people came. The smallest number was 3 to 5, and the largest number was about 10 people. But there were nearly 20 families that arrived today, so overall, there were quite a number of people. Under the guidance of the Lingxiao College's elders and students, everyone took their seats. Elder, when she looked at the empty main seat, and a hint of hesitation and worry flashed across his eyes. It was already time. Why hadn't Bo Yen and the others arrived yet? Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind. At the same time, a deep laughter spread throughout the entire square. Ha! It's so lively here! Everyone raised their heads and looked over. When they saw who it was, they were all shocked. Why is the Yuntian Tower's patriarch, Bailey Jun, here? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1447. Everyone in the Divine Ruins world knew that Bailey Jun had been in seclusion for a few years and had not made any moves. They did not expect him to suddenly appear. Has he come out of seclusion? But I don't think I invited him today, right? After all, the holy son of Yuntian Tower, Rongxiu, was currently in Lingxiao College. Moreover, he had already expressed that he was on the same side as Lingxiao College. Why is Bailey Jun here at this time? Could it be that he's also speaking up for Lingxiao College? Everyone had different thoughts, but they did not show it on their faces. They all stood up and bowed. Putting everything else aside, Bailey Jun's status was indeed very high. Although he no longer had any real power in his hands, he still had to give him face. After all, he was the patriarch of Yuntian Tower. Elder Wensi also led his people forward to welcome him with an eager smile on his face. So it's Patriarch Bailey. Why are you here? We're sorry for not coming out to welcome you. Bailey Chun gracefully landed on the ground, and there was not even the slightest bit of energy fluctuation around him. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. From the looks of it, he had clearly broken through again. Sensing the change in the gazes of the people around him, Bailey Jun's originally depressed mood immediately improved. He knew very well that after he had been in seclusion for a few years, all his power had been transferred to Rongxiu's hands. In everyone's eyes, he was just an empty shell of a patriarch, and there was nothing to be afraid of. However, it was a good thing that his strength had increased. These people naturally had to look up to him. Even if they were thinking nonsense in their hearts, they had to be respectful to him on the surface. At any time, having a strong fist was more useful than anything else. Elder Wensi, you don't have to be so polite. This old man came uninvited today only because he was on a whim. You guys can go ahead and do whatever you need to do. You don't have to worry about me. Bailey June stroked his beard and smiled. Elder Wensi cursed in his heart. Easy for him to say. Originally, everyone's seats were already arranged. Now that Bailey June had suddenly arrived, they had to find another seat for him. Moreover, he was of high status, so it was impossible for him to casually pull out a stool for him to sit on. After thinking about it, Elder Wensi could only stretch out his long arm. Then, please take a seat. Lingxiao College had prepared slightly more seats because some of them were reserved for the elders of the college. But now, there was only one empty spot in the middle. Thinking of this, he glanced at the young man behind Bailey June. The young man looked to be about 27 or 28 years old. He was thin and not very tall. He wore a blue and white embroidered robe with a white jade belt around his waist. He had an ordinary face with sharp edges. It doesn't look like anything special. However, out of caution, Elder Wensi still asked a question. May I know who this is? This is little Lu. He came with me on this trip. You don't need to care about him. He can just stand behind this old man. Bailey June waved his hand as if he didn't care. Elder Wensi heaved a sigh of relief. It seems that he's just a follower and not an important person. You're welcome. We have spare chairs here. It's just a small matter to add one for this person. As he spoke, Elder Wensi gave his subordinate a look. There weren't many important seats, but there were many ordinary chairs. The other families all had seats, so how could they let this young man stand alone? The chair was quickly moved over and added to the left side of Bailey June. Bailey June laughed, and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes deepened. Little Lu, why aren't you thanking Elder Wensi? The young man immediately responded and thanked him respectfully. Thank you, Elder Wensi. Strange, I just added a chair for this young man. Why do I feel that Bailey June's mood and attitude are obviously better? Elder Wensi muttered in his heart. Maybe it's because he feels that he's valued? After all, this young man is my man. Besides, there are so many people in Yuntian Tower, but Bailey June brought this young man here. It's obvious that he likes him. It's always right to take care of him. Elder Wensi suppressed the doubts in his heart and smiled widely. Patriarch Bailey, please take a seat. Bo Yen and the others should be out soon, and Rong Xiu, crack. A sound suddenly came from the side. Everyone looked up in unison. Not far away, the huge enchantment outside the Spirit Firmament Academy had a crack. A few figures flew out from it. It was Elder Bo Yen and the others. Elder Wensi and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They're finally here. The atmosphere in the hall also became strange. Those who had not had the time to sit down greeted Elder Bo Yen and the others. At this moment, everyone was very polite. Elder Bo Yen also had a smile on his face. No matter what, he had to put on a show. Elder Wensi came over to remind him. Patriarch Bailey is here too. What? Elder Bo Yen was shocked. He looked in the direction he pointed and saw Bailey June. Isn't he in seclusion? Why did he come out and even come here? Elder Bo Yan's mind raced, but the smile on his face deepened. Ha! Patriarch Bailey, what a distinguished guest. Why are you free today? I don't know if Rong Xiu knows. Why didn't he mention it? Bailey June cupped his hands and smiled. This old man came suddenly. Elder Bo Yen won't blame me, right? Why would I? Your presence brings light to Fangzhou City. Ha! Please take a seat. The two of them exchanged a few more pleasantries. On the square, it was a scene of joy and harmony. Finally, a somewhat abrupt voice sounded, breaking this thin layer of illusion. Elder Bo Yen, we're all here. Why hasn't Chu Yu appeared yet? Could it be that so many of us are here, but we still can't get him to come? Digression, it doesn't seem good to let everyone wait alone. It got dark early yesterday. So I'll update 4 times today and 6 times tomorrow. I'll try to update at noon together. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1448. There was a moment of silence. Elder Bo Yan's expression did not change as he smiled faintly. It's a misunderstanding. Today's situation was initiated by Chu Yu to give everyone an explanation. How could he not come? It's probably because of some matters in the academy that delayed him. When she go and rush him. Elder when she responded and turned around to head towards the academy. Everyone looked at each other in surprise. This was initiated by Chu Yu? They had always thought that it was Lingxiao College's idea. On one hand, it was to help Chu Yu clear his name. On the other hand, it was to solve this series of troublesome matters. Unexpectedly, it wasn't that Chu Yu only 17 years old? How could he be so daring? Did he know what kind of people he had invited today? It seems that this student of your academy is really a newborn calf that is not afraid of tigers. The man who choked laughed, but he was still a little sarcastic. Elder Bo Yan was calm and composed. The innocent knows that they are innocent. What's there to worry about? The other party's laughter instantly became more awkward. Wasn't this a disguised way of clarifying Chu Yu's innocence and pointing at them to slander him? Furthermore, although that child is young, he is a responsible person. After hearing about the previous incident, he felt that it was because he had implicated the academy. No matter what, he had to stand up and explain the misunderstanding to everyone. Look, his body has not recovered yet, and he dragged his sick body to beg me. He said that he had to take responsibility for everything. Elder Bo Yan shook his head and sighed, his tone pitiful. I tried to persuade him, but he did not listen. He is really stubborn. This time, no one spoke casually. What did he say? That these aristocratic families had joined forces to coerce a child? Although it was the truth, it did not sound good to say it out loud. It seems that Elder Bo Yan really dotes on that Chu Yu. Bailey Jun suddenly said. Elder Bo Yan raised his eyes slightly as a faint smile appeared on his aged face. Clan leader Bailey, Chu Yu is a student of our academy. Isn't it our duty to protect him? Even if it was not Chu Yu, if it was any other student in the academy, our position would be the same. Although this answer was polite, there was nothing to nitpick about. Moreover, Lingxiao College had always been protective of its students and treated them well. However, when Bailey Jun heard this, he felt even more uncomfortable. The same for all the other students? Then how were they going to remove Jiang Jiwan's name from the list and kick her out of the academy, making her lose face? If Lingxiao College had not been so ruthless, she would not have had to change her appearance just to come here. Bailey Jun felt sorry for Jiang Jiwan. However, he was still clear-headed and didn't question Jiang Jiwan about her expulsion. If something was really involved and the matter was blown out of proportion, wouldn't it be even harder to clean up? Let's talk about this in private. Bailey Jun did not ask any more questions. How dare the Yuntian Tower show up again? On the other side, Liang Xiaoxiao, who was sitting in her seat, could not help but curse softly. They are really shameless. Liang Ye glanced at her and his face darkened. Bailey Jun is the head of the family. Why wouldn't he dare to come? If it were someone else, he might have gone up and argued with them. However, it was Bailey Jun. Don't you know how important Jiang Jiwan is to him? Maybe the Yuntian Tower was willing to help Jiang Jiwan this time because of his instructions. She had thought it was strange before, but now that she saw Bailey Jun, all her doubts were resolved. Bailey Jun treated Jiang Jiwan like his own granddaughter and had always doted on her. This was something that many people knew. It was also because of this that Liang Xiaoxiao was willing to interact with Jiang Jiwan and get closer to her after entering the academy. Otherwise, with her status as the legitimate daughter of the Liang family, why would she be willing to get close to Jiang Jiwan? However, she did not expect Jiang Jiwan to be so disappointing. Not only was she expelled from Lingxiao College, but she was also implicated in her third brother's death. Liang Xiaoxiao now hated her to the core. I really don't know if the head of the Bailey family still values that bitch after this series of events. Liang Ye did not comment. That's enough. Keep it down. There were so many people here. Some things were not good to say after all. If someone heard it, it would be troublesome. Liang Xiaoxiao could only grit her teeth and endure. When Chu Yu came out, she must get to the bottom of it. Outside Pengmin Mountain, Elder Wan Zheng and Rong Xiu were waiting for Chu Luiyue to come out. They had been waiting since early this morning. The Donghuang bell had been rung, but there was still no movement in the tower. Logically speaking, even if you were inside, you should be the one who heard the bell. Elder Wan Zheng glanced at the sky. It has been a while. Why is Chu Yu still not out? Could it be that something has delayed him? He was a little uneasy. Although Chu Yu was a naughty child, he was usually very sensible when it came to important matters. Why was he late for no reason now? Rong Xiu at the side narrowed his eyes. A faint light flashed across his eyes. Wan Zheng, where is Chu Yu? Elder when she hurried over. Seeing the two people waiting, his heart was hanging in the air. He's still inside? Elder Wan Zheng nodded. I don't know why. There has been no movement. But everyone outside is already here. Elder when she wiped the sweat on his forehead. If it was someone else, it would be fine. But those people were not to be trifled with. How could they keep waiting? Moreover, Bo Yen had gone out. Chu Yu was a junior student and the focus of everyone's debate. How could he not appear? If he went too late, those people might use this as an excuse. Didn't you ask Elder Meng? Elder Meng had been guarding inside. He should know Chu Yu's current situation the best. Elder Wan Zheng frowned. Not yet. Then, Elder when she wanted to go forward. He could not delay any longer. Elder Meng has always been a strategist. He should know the importance of today's matter. Until now, he has not let Chu Yu out. He must have his own reasons. Rong Xiu at the side suddenly said. His voice was low and sweet. It was as calm as usual. Elder Wen Shi's footsteps paused. For a moment he was in a dilemma. Rong Xiu's words were not without reason. If there really was something, it was useless to rush him. But, could it be that they really had to wait like this? It won't be long before those people outside start making a ruckus, right? The waiting time was particularly unbearable. Finally, when Elder Wen Shi finally could not hold back and wanted to rush forward, the enchantment outside Pengmin Mountains suddenly rippled. A slender and tall figure walked out from the gate of the tower. It was Chu Luiyue. He's out. Elder Wan Zheng was very happy. He quickly waved at Chu Luiyue. Chu Luiyue looked up and saw these people. She quickly rushed over. Swish. The next moment her figure was like lightning. She instantly appeared in front of them. Elder when she heaved a sigh of relief. Chu Yu, you finally came out. If you didn't come out, this old man would have barged in. Chu Luiyue blinked and smiled. Sorry, I took a little more time to break through. I didn't take too long, right? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1449. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd fell silent for a moment. Elder Wensi looked at Chu Luiyue in shock and found that her aura was much stronger than before. You broke through? He murmured in disbelief. Didn't this kid say that she was in poor health a few days ago? At that time, Elder Meng was also very worried, which made him worry for a few days. But in the blink of an eye, not only did her injuries heal, but she also broke through? Because Chu Luiyue had the Yuan device left by Dugu Mabao to hide her aura, even if she was standing in front of them, Elder Wensi and the others couldn't sense her current realm. Chu Luiyue said with some embarrassment. I just broke through to the middle stage of rank 9. Actually, she could continue to break through. Inside the tower, she seemed to have once again entered that mysterious state. The surrounding heaven and earth force flowed into her body and merged into her bones and blood at an extraordinary speed. The whole process was natural and smooth. Chu Luiyue's mind was firm, and no accidents happened this time. She naturally broke through to the middle stage of rank 9. After that, her body's devouring of the origin power didn't stop there. Chu Luiyue knew very well that if she continued to cultivate like that, she could basically break through to the peak of rank 9 smoothly. On one hand, she had the Tianjing Yuan Meridian now and was very talented. On the other hand, she had the memories and experience in this area. She could break through directly without the guidance of others. However, after thinking for a moment, she still chose to stop. Every cultivator had the heart to become stronger, and Chu Luiyue was no exception. However, she had always been very cautious in this aspect. Recently, she had been feeling that her breakthrough speed was a little too fast. Even if it was mainly because she had encountered many unexpected opportunities in the middle, she was still very cautious. The corner of Elder Wenxi's mouth twitched. Do you think that's the right word to say? However, looking at Chu Luiyue's sincere face, he couldn't say anything to refute. This kid is a freak. Didn't he already know about it from the day he entered the school? On the other hand, Elder Wanzheng quickly accepted this fact. As expected of my disciple. Very outstanding. Elder Wenxi faintly glanced at him. Could the filter not be so thick? Even if something strange happened to your disciple, I'm afraid you'd think it was normal. Rong Xiu was the calmest. For the past few days, she had stayed in Pingmin Mountain, and he knew that she wanted to try to break through again. This was not a difficult task for her to begin with. However, what surprised him was that she actually did not break through to the peak of the 9th stage, and even, probably because there's not enough time, Rong Xiu's eyebrows twitched. Forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. It's getting late. Those people are already waiting outside. Let's hurry over. Elder Wenxi reacted and hurriedly urged. Chu Luiyue gently nodded as the corners of his lips curled up. All right. Her eyes were as bright as the stars, and her expression was relaxed as if she did not realize what kind of trouble was waiting for her. Elder Wenxi sighed in his heart. No matter what, I must protect this kid. Chu Yu. Just as the few of them were rushing out of the school, a familiar voice was heard. Chu Luiyue stopped in his tracks and turned to look. A few people were rushing over from the opposite mountain. Luo Shishir, Luo Yanming, and Zhuosheng were all familiar faces. Most importantly, there was a face that he had not seen for a long time beside them. Chu Luiyue's heart skipped a beat, and the corners of his lips curled up. Hongyu, why are you here? Although she came out a few days ago, she went directly to the Donghuang Bell Tower. After discussing things with Elder Bo Yen and the others, she went straight back to Pingmin Mountain. No one told her that Mu Hongyu had come to the school. Now that she suddenly saw her, she was naturally very surprised. Mu Hongyu's almond-shaped eyes were also bright, and she quickly rushed forward. She wanted to give Chu Luiyue a big hug, but when she was in front of him, she suddenly remembered that Chu Luiyue was now using another identity, so she quickly stopped in her tracks. However, the joyful look on his face was clearly seen by the surrounding crowd. I've been here for a few days, but you've been staying at Pingmin Mountain all this time, so we haven't seen each other. Mu Hongyu said excitedly as she looked up and down at Chu Luiyue. Have you been well in the past few months in the school? She had heard about those things, so she could not help but worry. Chu Luiyue could not help but gently knock her forehead. Do I look like something's wrong? Everyone could see that the two of them were indeed very close. Luo Shishir pursed her lips and her heart ached. She had never seen Chu Yu treat any woman so casually and freely. Mu Hongyu was really different? This kind of Chu Yu was somewhat different from the polite Chu Yu she knew. Luo Yanming glanced at her sister out of the corner of her eye, sighed in her heart, but also breathed a sigh of relief. The onlookers saw more clearly. Chu Yu obviously did not like Luo Shishir, and only treated her as a friend. Now, it was best to let her give up before she said anything. Mu Hongyu saw that Chu Luiyue could still joke, and her heart calmed down a lot. I knew you would be able to do it. Chu Luiyue looked at her and suddenly asked in surprise, You broke through to the 9th level? Yes. Just before I came, I broke through a chi at home. Mu Hongyu stuck out her tongue. It was Master and the others who sent me here. Chu Luiyue immediately understood. It seemed that Diwu Zhangze and the others helped. At the same time of surprise, Chu Luiyue could not help but secretly sigh. Mu Hongyu's physique and talent were indeed enviable. She relied on various opportunities to break through to the peak of the 9th level in such a short time. However, Mu Hongyu had only cultivated with Diwu Zhangze and the others in the Red Moon Desert for a few months, and she had also successfully broken through to the 9th level. If this spread out, countless people would be envious. Chu Yu Hongyu, if you want to catch up, Why don't you wait first? Elder Wensi could not help but interject. This time, Chu Luiyue nodded with a smile. Although she was not afraid of being late, she did not want to put Elder Wensi in a difficult position. You're right. Hongyu, I'll go out first. Wait for me at the academy. Mu Hongyu suddenly took a step forward. Chuyu, I want to go with you. She vaguely knew what was going on outside, and she was very worried. At this time, she did not want Lu Yu to face it alone. Even if he just stood next to her, it would be good. Elder Wensi frowned. This is not okay. Chu Luiyue nodded gently and agreed to Mu Hongyu's request. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from love. Chapter 1450. Chu Luiyue's answer was unexpected. Everyone present was stunned for a moment, almost thinking that they had heard wrongly. That kind of occasion, it was obvious what kind of swords and knives would be. Why did he have to bring someone? Mu Hongyu was very happy and nodded repeatedly. No matter what, she must not watch Lu Yu be bullied. Seeing that Chu Luiyue seemed to be determined, Elder Wensi thought for a moment and did not object. It was just one more student, it did not matter. It's fine if you want to go, but Hongyu, don't talk nonsense when you get there, understand? Mu Hongyu covered her mouth and nodded repeatedly. Then let's go. As soon as Elder Wensi finished speaking, he heard Luo Shirshi's voice from behind. Master, I'll go too. Shirshi. Luo Yanming and Zhuosheng both looked at her in surprise. Fourth brother had already told them that the Luo family was not invited this time and that they should try not to get involved in this matter in the academy. Now Luo Shirshi wanted to go too? Wasn't this nonsense? But Luo Shirshi insisted. She looked at Elder Wensi pleadingly. Master, I promise that I will be honest when I go. I won't say a word. Elder Wensi had a headache. Why did all of them want to go? If they continued to argue like this, there would not be enough time. He made up his mind. Let's go together. In Fangzhou City, on the wide and flat square, there was silence. Everyone was sitting in a circle. At first, they could still exchange a few words with each other, but as time passed, the atmosphere gradually became cold and stagnant. From time to time, people would look in the direction of Lingxiao College. Furthermore, there were some people that had already revealed impatient expressions. If it weren't for Elder Bo Yen and the others holding the fort, they wouldn't have been able to wait any longer. I didn't expect this Chu Yu to be so arrogant. A voice sounded in the crowd. It was neither loud nor soft, with a hint of sarcasm. To be the only person in the northern region of the primeval wilderness who has obtained an opportunity is naturally extraordinary. Someone laughed softly, but the laughter was harsh. Elder Bo Yen turned a deaf ear. Wasn't it just a few words? What was there to care about? As long as these people didn't really fight, everything was negotiable. Jean D, who was sitting at the side, stroked his stubble and finally couldn't help but sneer. I heard that Chu Yu is only a rank 9 warrior now, and his extravagance is already so grand. If he broke through to the god realm in the future, wouldn't he be even more powerful? At that time, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to even see him. Some people's faces turned ugly. He was merely a junior, yet he had made so many of them wait here and had yet to show himself. He was truly arrogant. Senior Golden Flute, you're wrong. A clear voice that was like a clear spring in the mountains flowed down and broke this oppressive and stiff atmosphere. Hearing this, everyone immediately looked in the direction of Lingxiao College. Several figures were flying out one after another. The person who spoke was precisely Chu Yu. Their speed was very fast and they soon arrived at the square. Countless pairs of eyes swept over the newcomers, and then paused on Rong Xiu and Chu Luiyue for a moment. The meaning was unclear. Only Elder Bo Yen and the others were a little shocked when they saw Mu Hongyu and the others behind them. But in front of so many people, it wasn't too good to ask in detail. But it was just a few students, and it didn't affect the overall situation. Chu Luiyue was still smiling and said, compared to all of you, Chu Yu's status really doesn't dare to be presumptuous. It's just that I was delayed by some matters earlier, so I'm late. Chu Yu is here first, and I apologize to all of you. With that, she really bent down slightly and bowed to them, and then looked at Jean D with a smile. What you said just now, isn't it a little underestimating the status of all of you here? Was she saying that he deliberately looked down on everyone present? Jean D's face changed. I know that all of you came from afar this time because of some misunderstandings, and you want to find me for an explanation. Chu Luiwei changed the topic and had already glossed over the previous topic. Jean D's chest was stuffy, and half of his breath was blocked in his windpipe. It was so uncomfortable that he wanted to die. This Chu Yu, extremely cunning and treacherous. He snorted coldly. Escape? Could he escape? Today, he must peel off a layer of skin from Chu Yu. The others had already been distracted by Chu Luiwei's words. That's right. Since you're going straight to the point, then let's not talk about those nonsense. Chu Yu, about some of the recent rumors related to you, do you have anything to say? On the other side, a black-robed elder stroked his beard and asked in a deep voice. They had to give people a chance to explain, otherwise, it would seem that they were overbearing and unreasonable. Chu Luiwei nodded slightly. I will give all of you a clear and reasonable explanation. Chu Yu, come here. Elder Bo Yen suddenly spoke, waved at Chu Luiwei, and pointed to the seat beside him. Although today's interrogation was directed at Chu Yu, he did not want Chu Yu to look like a criminal and be bullied and humiliated by these people. Chu Luiwei's heart warmed slightly. The seat beside Elder Bo Yen was not a seat that ordinary people could sit on. This represented Elder Bo Yen and the entire Lingxiao College's support for her. She hesitated for a moment, then walked over. On the other side, Bailey Jun had already looked at Rong Xiu. His face darkened slightly. Holy Sun, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Have you even forgotten how to address me? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.